This program is powered by thevirtual.show, making your offline events virtual. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of WEBIT Virtual, Dr. Plamen Russev.
And hello and welcome. Thank you for joining my favorite part of WEBIT Virtual, the usual Founders Games Investors Day, where we have great founders, true entrepreneurs, trying to change the world for better, and of course, our WEBIT community supporting them all the way. Thank you so much, wonderful community joining us from all around the world. Well, we start humble. Let's see how many we are going to be at the end of this show, when we shall be having really very interesting founders in the CyberTech area, supporting and creating solutions. You will hear during this week, the week of the CyberTech, that we have seen a truly phenomenal increase in the number of cyber attacks. We're talking about folds of tens and more since the beginning of COVID. You will hear some great experts, the Chief Cybersecurity Officer of Siemens, who is also Natalia Oropeza, who is the chair of our WEBIT CyberTech vertical. And you will see also CyberTech Senior Vice President from VMware and many others. So a lot of things coming up next. But now, today, you will see my guests, as usual, great investors who shall be vetting even greater founders. Let's see who are the jury members today. This is the first one.
Nicolai Schättgen is the founder and CEO of Matchmaker Ventures and board member at several tech startups. At Matchmaker Ventures, Nicolai is bridging the gap between growth stage companies and large corporates with the objective to set up value, creating collaborations between the two.
Hello, Nicolai. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, Plamen. Great pleasure to be here.
It's something special always when we start this show, because as usual, investors are pitched all the time. I know that now even the deal flow is getting bigger and bigger. But you know that here you will be vetting a very carefully curated and selected startups. So hopefully we will hear your very honest and open feedback, and at the same time, I'm hopeful that we will surprise you with a great selection.
Absolutely. From what I've seen so far, it sounds promising, and really looking forward to the pitches, brief and hopefully precise to the point. Startups only have short amount of time, so I'm sure they are well prepared.
I think so. Let's see next. Thank you so much. Let me introduce our second jury member.
Stefan Nundy is a partner and chief technology officer at Lakestar Advisors. He advises the investment team on new opportunities, performs technology due diligence, as well as sources investments in the deep tech space. Prior to Lakestar, Stefan worked at Goldman Sachs for 20 years as chief technology officer.
Thank you for joining, Stefan. Welcome to the WEBIT Virtual Studio.
Hey, good afternoon. Good to be here.
My pleasure. You are representing a great company and a lot of knowledge and know-how in different verticals. How is CyberTech positioned in your portfolio?
Well, CyberTech is one of the areas we're spending a lot of time looking at right now, right across Europe and into Israel as well. I think you already highlighted the growth of this particular sector is unparalleled, and right now, given everything that's going on with COVID and the challenges the world faces right now, this is one that hasn't slowed down during this period of time. And so for us, it's a big focus to find the best entrepreneurs around Europe and the world who can help solve some of the big challenges that are out there.
It will be a pleasure to help you with your deal flow, providing you these three really great opportunities to network together, to connect, and of course to hear their pitches. I'm hopeful that after this, I will hear your feedback and it will be positive.
Look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Let me introduce you my next guest here in the studio.
Giuseppe Donvito is a partner at P101 Ventures, based in Milan. He has 20 years of experience in venture capital and private equity, with a special focus on technology and software. Prior to joining P101 Ventures, he has gained experience in Italy, Europe, and the Middle East.
Giuseppe, thank you for joining. How are you?
Thank you very much. Very well. Glad to be here.
Where are you based in Italy?
We are based in Milan.
One of my favorite cities, and unfortunately the worst impacted by COVID in Lombardy.
Yeah, we are coming out soon. So
yeah, I think it looks very optimistic already, isn't it?
Yes. I think we are slowly reopening. Luckily, we are out of the mess.
I keep my fingers crossed for the whole world, because it's about time, even though what's coming next will be a true challenge. Your tickets are between 1 and 2 million. Sometimes you go to up to 10 million. I'm hopeful that the startups that we have selected for you today will be a great fit for your portfolio. And again, looking forward to your straightforward, honest feedback. We're here to help them. They should hear everything good, everything bad, and hopefully they will become better in their presentation. And of course, we put a lot of trust in their business model. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And our fourth participant.
Farid Singh is a managing director at startup WiseGuys Cyber North, Europe's first defense AI and cybersecurity accelerator created by startup WiseGuys and Estonian defense industry. He has more than 13 years of experience of building solutions centered around UX, technology, research, and data insights.
Farid, welcome aboard.
Thanks a lot. It's great to be here.
Are you now in Estonia, or where are you based?
I am based currently in Estonia, yes, in Tallinn, the capital.
It's always interesting to hear what is coming up from this small, teeny tiny country, and CyberTech particularly is quite a well-developed area.
Yeah, there's a very huge focus on CyberTech over here. And there's a lot of both governmental and private players who are pushing this for obvious reasons. And overall, the startup community here is very, very vibrant. So it's actually a great place to kind of work on this particular vertical.
I will try to surprise you four. You know the rules of the game for our viewers. We have 3 selected, carefully curated startups. You know that WEBIT's hosting the world's biggest startup challenge founders games with over 4,500 attendees, applying companies. And we select the best of the best. Those that are selected, as usual for the past 12 years, receive everything for free from WEBIT Foundation, including opportunity to be at WEBIT, to pitch for the $1 million awards, to exhibit for free. It's been like this for 12 years. We've created this concept of supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem. If we were to be an acceleration program, we will be in the most successful acceleration program in the world, with over 67% survival rate for the past 12 years. I repeat this because it's important. We are not an acceleration program. We are a global community supporting entrepreneurship and supporting the growth of innovation. With saying that, I would like to move ahead with our first startup pitch. I would like to tell you all that this time we have something special. We have a twist. We have a burn it, cool it mechanism in place for all of you who are now with us live. So you can vote once per startup. It could be thumbs up or thumbs down. We shall be announcing a new audience award, and it will be up to you who will win it. So if you click up thumbs, it means that you give the startup your support and you would like to hear more. So you want the jury to ask them more questions. Or if you do this, it means you don't like the startup, you want the jury to burn them down and not to hear from them. Dangerous. So let's start. And let me introduce you our first startup here with us. It is L7 Defense, which will be presented by Yisrael Gross from Israel. It's a post-seed company with above 2 million investment. Israel, welcome. If you're with us, Israel.
Hi everyone, can you see me?
I
Good.
do, yes. So you know the rules, you have 3 minutes and they start now.
Great, thanks. So thanks everyone, good afternoon. Israel from Israel, co-founder of L7 Defense. And I want to present you today one of the most changes we're happening today in the world of cybersecurity. It's called the API Security Challenge. So, can you see me? Okay. APIs are everywhere. We have 87% of internet traffic goes on APIs. From connects to everything. So every online platform, any devices that communicate on the internet, they all communicate through APIs. L7 Defense's mission is to be the standard security for those APIs. We see some markets are driving this very strongly, the IoT connected devices, the 5G data centers and telcos, and of course the open banking and also regulation that's coming with it, like PSD2 and more, who every financial institution has to comply with and open their infrastructure and traffic to others. So all of these are the driven markets for those APIs. So the world has actually moved from web to API. This means not looking at a general picture of a website and an online platform. That means any point in your system should have its own security because it acts different. So the rules is actually shifting now from the application security to API security. And this is what L7 Defense wants to lead this market. How are we going to do this? So first of all, we want to talk about this APIs. We have them in 3 layers. First one is public. That means my company opens my APIs to everyone, Salesforce, Facebook, everyone, they have open APIs. Then the second layer is a partner APIs. It means I open my APIs to another company, but not to public. And then the internal one is for internal processes inside the organization. So I can have my own company who all the information goes through those APIs. Now Gartner and all the other analysts claim that 90% of attacks will come through those APIs. So we have to be focused if we want to secure all of those digital platforms. If you want to secure the future of connectivity, you have to secure those APIs. So as Immune is part of the Immune body, we discovered this from my partner has a PhD in bioinformatics, where the human body has similar aspects for every point. So we could call it an API point, where the human body has to constantly learn by and adjust by itself to any of those changes. So what we have here is a new technology coming from the human body, and we are simulating it in cybersecurity. This brings us to the next step. What can we give here to the future of this world? If we're looking at the future, it looks like when it first presented the iPhone. So when Steve Jobs presented the iPhone, the first question was, where are the buttons? There's no buttons here, because we all know there's buttons on phones. So, but then today, when you show a kid a phone and he with buttons, he asks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I let you a couple of seconds more. I hope you don't mind. But now it's time for the questions from the jury. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's been quite well explanatory, self-explanatory itself. Congratulations for what you have achieved so far. I would like to give now the floor to the jury members. You have 5 minutes to ask any questions you would like, and don't wait for me to give you the word. Please start.
Sorry, what's your customer base? What kind of customer do you have?
Okay, so we have financial institutions using this as a main security for them. We have governments using this. We have now installations in large telcos, NASA, United States. We are expanding our business opportunities, and we are working with channels and distributors. So we have like Amdocs selling this to their customers. We have Intel selling this inside their boxes to customers. That's how we sell. We are a software company, and we embed this in other solutions.
What's the current traction in terms of financials or KPIs?
So the first, actually, the year we started sales was 2019, and we were above $400,000 for the first year of sales. And now we're talking about we're going to multiple this already this year.
How do you measure the success of your product? I've invested in an open banking company myself in the last couple of months, who are providing API infrastructure. So why should they be using you, and what can they expect to see over and above what they've got today?
Good question. This is a good question. Today, they have also an application security level, and we're talking about when you want to see an API perspective, it's looking from above. You want to see in very small resolution. LSAM Defense gives visibility to the SOC team, to the security, to the CISO, to understand exactly what happens. For example, we can identify business logic, someone using the same API for different reasons. We can identify many other bot scrappers. We can identify things in very small resolutions that no one else can see, because our solution is divided per API and builds its own method. So we bring here a different aspect, not looking from above, bottom up. We present all of those, what can we find from the small sensitivities and go up.
Hey Israel, we have a past, we know each other. Can you tell me who's the team now? So I guess it's you and your co-founder Doron. What's the team size? Where are you at the moment?
Yeah, so we just hired a few experts in this team. So we hired a person who was Joshua Baha. He was a CISO in a big organization. We hired also a CEO from a large cybersecurity with 150 employees. We hired him to LSAM Defense. So we actually grew the team. And we scaled up, so we have now offices in Luxembourg, London, and we're opening also in New Jersey. So we're expanding our team. We're winning big projects also in Europe to secure infrastructure in Italy and also in Bulgaria. So these are the two places. And we're also working on big projects now in the United States for the largest telcos and also for big Industry 4.0 companies.
So you have an external new CEO now coming in. So somebody stepped in as a CEO. Okay.
Kevin, production in Bulgaria is giving you an additional point now, as I'm from Bulgaria myself. Please go ahead with the questions.
Quick question. So with respect to integration, I mean, the APIs are different. So what's the integration process for somebody who wants to use this? And I mean, right now, whatever platform we're on, we're probably using 20 APIs to get all this audio video going. So how do you guys deal with this? I mean, is this all APIs? Is this critical APIs? And then finally, how do you guys make money from it? What's the model for this?
Okay, so I can talk about integration from different aspects. So when you're talking about integration just in the cloud, so my customers can download the software, deploy them by themselves on AWS, Azure, Google, IBM, any of those clouds, and just install it by themselves and learn everything automatically. So it doesn't matter how many APIs you will have, the system will identify how many you have, which content goes on each one of them, and then secure them from different types of attacks on them. So this was the first question. Second question was?
How do you make money? What's your business model?
Selling license.
Is it per API, I mean, like somebody said, is there a metric you guys measure? How many attacks have you thwarted? Or just, hey, this is an API and I'm going to protect it, so I'm just going to give you a license for it?
Okay, so the license is per amount of traffic. So we don't care how many APIs you have, just the amount of traffic you have. You have the size of the license, depends on the deployment you put in, which server you put it. That's the price.
Okay.
Great. Other questions? Actually, we ran out of time. So, okay. Thank you so much. Great presentation, Israel. You stay with us, please. At the end of the day, we will know who is the winner and who wins the opportunity to pitch for the $1 million award at WEBIT. In the meantime, I would like to request the jury members to kindly start filling up their vets. Just for our audience, we've already reached 2,400 people with us live. it's a very simple way of vetting a company at WEBIT. 5 major factors: scalability, uniqueness of idea, team capacity, business approach, marketing approach. These 5, we believe, make the success of a company. Of course, it's a good start. Now, let's see our next participant. And they must be already with us. They come from Germany. XignSys, presented by Marcus Hartline. Marcus, did I say it right?
Yes, right. It was correct, but the company's from XignSys. So then let me start.
Well, that's what I meant.
But no problem for that. Hi,
Thank you for joining, and good luck to you. I start the counter now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for having me there. My name is Marcus, and I'm the founder and CEO of XignSys. XignSys is basically a word combination of meaning the sign system. So the X is for that we are doing everything with digital signatures. As we started, we say, okay, our life is too complex, too unsecure, and not digital in all the places. And therefore we say, okay, one of the key factors is authentication. And if we had a look on numbers, we see that authentication mainly still relies on passwords or extra hardware like chip cards and smart cards and so on. And we said, okay, we should combine smartphones and authentication, but not only for the web-based authentication, but for any purpose. And we said, with this, we have had the chance to win different awards because our technology can be integrated in really every scenario. So for the long term, we say we are one of the startups and one of the companies who are killing the password. But we are not only killing the password, we are bringing to life a smartphone-based user authentication. Because our today's life has too many authentication and still increase the number of attacks. So if we have a look in 2018, until 2018, 8 billion credentials have been stolen. And mostly all of them can be found on the internet. So we are from Germany, and we have scanned the DAX 30 companies within 1.5 billion stolen credentials from the net. And yes, we see that mainly 500 to 1,500 credentials are open, accessible on the internet. And therefore we say, okay, we must bring something in what makes the life easier, but much more secure. And so we say, okay, we use the mobile authentication. It's one of the hottest markets in the field of cybersecurity. It's much more rising the multi-factor authentication. And we say, okay, we should combine different level of authentications and different level of factors for building a good authentication. So we have one-factor authentication to multiple multi-factor authentication that all can be administrated with a smartphone. So if you look on the competitors, they are missing some. This slide is not complete, but we are saying it's crucial for a security system that it is very usable and very secure, and it must be adaptive for all the situations. So what we have basically done is we bring authentication within authentication triggers like QR code, NFC, Bluetooth to nearly every use case. So we can do identity brokering, payment, and qualified electronic signatures from within one view and with one ID. So what we have said is that we are user-friendly and we have the combination of user-friendly and security needs. And but what we should say and want to say is that our technology is so diverse that it can be integrated in every scenario. And that's why we got Volkswagen, the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, and for example, and the Bank Verlag from the science area as customer. So we are
there, Marcus.
Okay. So
today is a special day. You have a couple of seconds more each, and now it's time for you to answer the questions of the jury.
Okay.
Please, your questions.
What's the unique technology behind here?
So the really uniqueness is a combination of different technologies. So we are relying on PKI infrastructures, but bringing security concept in it, like the authentication from machine to machine, like we are also our smartphone gets an own digital identity. And that's what we are basically doing. We are using older technologies like digital certificates, like cryptographic keys and so on, and combine that in a way that they are quite usable for the end customer, but also for the integrator. And that's the uniqueness. For example, the first POC we did with Volkswagen only lasts 2.5 hours, and then our system was completely integrated in the Volkswagen IT infrastructure, and all the Volkswagen employees could authenticate themselves within the Volkswagen infrastructure.
Thank you very much. Other questions?
As I see the Deutsche Telekom in there, how do you compare to the Mobile Connect standard, which obviously the operators are trying to push for authentication?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Mobile Connect basically used the SIM card as key storage, and we say, okay, it must be a little bit more open. So we are not using the SIM card as key storage. We use them as well as a verification factor. We use the SIM card as well, but not for storage. And we use the secure elements and the secure hardware of the phone itself to store keys. And if you have a look in closed areas, high security areas where you don't have GSM network or something like this or similar, you're not able to really good communicate with Mobile Connect. And that's what's possible for us. So we can connect with over VPN, for example. We can connect over Wi-Fi, but we also can use GSM or LTE as communication standard to integrate our system.
Is anybody actually using your product in the field with live clients?
Yes, with live clients, it's the city of Gelsenkirchen who's using this for the communication with the citizens. And in the next half of the year, until the end of the year, we are integrated into the identity management system of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, and then we are addressing 18 million citizens that are able to use our authentication technology, and are one of the authentication factors that can be used from the citizens besides the eID function of the German ID card.
Okay, and what's your biggest challenge right now?
Our biggest challenges. So we have started to do sales at the mid of 2019, and now at the moment we are fast growing, and mainly in the field of sales. And that's what we have to do now. So we have the reputation, we have the first big customers and the first big pilots. And now we have to bring the pilots into sales, into license selling, and and to get more customers at all. That's our biggest point. And to be more enterprise focused, for example, here we are on a team slide. We have done our last hiring with Stefan Schulz, who was the chairman of the advisory board of SAP for more than 8 years, and was the personal referent to Hasso Plattner in his times.
He's a great add-on, and it's wonderful that you have that sales, nothing else but sales. That's critical for a startup that goes up. Yeah, please, we have 30 more seconds.
One of the biggest challenges we have in Europe is different regulatory regimes in each country, and obviously Germany is probably one of the strictest. Which other markets do you see being open to you? I know you mentioned Australia, but are there any other European countries you cannot sell to today, or can you sell to everybody your entire product today?
Yeah,
what restrictions do you have?
Yes, right. That's a really, really good point, because at the moment we are in the certification phase with BSI, who was literally the Ministry for Security in Germany, and we got certificate after the IDAS regulation. That's an European-wide regulation, and with this regulation we are able to sell our product in each country in Europe under the same standard. Maybe there's a little bit of personal twist for each country, but we can sell it with one standardization over 28 countries in Europe.
Thank you very much. With this, I thank you, and I ask you to stay with us. In the meantime, I would like to announce the voting of the audience, and I would like to request the jury to basically ignore it for their own purposes. Our audience is very critical to our first participant. Out of it's not too many though. It's 125 votes. We have -12, which means that around 110 or 115 were for yes, it's great, and the other were no. But that's the audience. Let's see what the jury is thinking. I would like to say special thanks to a partner of ours. See who they are.
EIT Digital Challenge. Scale up your digital deep tech business. Win international growth prizes totaling 350,000 euros. Apply now.
And we move on with our next and last startup. It is equally great. If you ask me, the three of them are really amazing. Its name is XignSys. They come from UK, raised already 3 million, and the representing person of that company is Fabian Eberle himself. Fabian, welcome. Fabian?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we hear you perfectly well. I'm sure you're in control of your presentation. Time starts now.
Thank you. Yeah, XignSys is all about simple, secure, and above all, private authentication. We are a deep tech cybersecurity company that's building passwordless, privacy-preserving, biometric authentication and personal identity management solutions across the workforce and the consumers that is based on more than 10 years of research in biometrics and cryptography. Our team is comprised of leading privacy and security experts, among which Paolo Gasti and Giuseppe Atinese, our co-founders, who are among the most influential privacy and security scholars in the world, and Paul Galvas, who brings more than 4 decades of experience in technology and security leadership to the team that is predominantly built around PhDs who've been involved in the prior research with Paolo and Giuseppe, and machine learning engineers on the biometric side, where as a company, we set out on the mission to enable anyone to seamlessly access any digital service from any device while keeping your personal data safe, private, and under your control, which leads us into the problem where authentication and identity management are broken. Well, we all know and come from passwords over hard tokens to SMS and soft tokens on the consumer side to biometrics, local biometrics, as we know it from Apple's Touch and Face ID systems, and the future that we at XignSys see focused around privacy, where based on the research of Paolo and our team over the past decade, we're introducing the world's first zero-knowledge biometric and personal identity management platform that eliminates the need for businesses to store and manage passwords, cryptographic keys, biometrics, and other sensitive information without compromising on convenience and privacy for the users, where as a user, there's nothing you need to remember. You authenticate with who you are. You can use any device with a front-facing camera, independent of hardware or software vendor. There's nothing to steal. We don't store any personal data on the user's device, neither in any central point on the architecture or server side. And you become the key as you can reconstruct your personal cryptographic key locally on your device so you can log into a service, authenticate with multiple factor and authorize a payment, or sign a cryptographic transaction such as a digital signature, after which that secret disappears. And it offers multi-factor security by design, with the device as a distinct first factor, a possession factor, the face as a second factor, where we also ensure liveness detection to ensure you're a real human being, not a video or a picture. And we'll soon introduce behavioral biometrics as a continuous third factor, such as keystroke dynamics or the way you swipe on a screen, that we see as the foundation for disrupting authentication and identity management across sectors and use cases, where we focused on passwordless authentication for the enterprise, where we uniquely position in the market, combining the user experience and interoperability benefits of cloud solution providers who offer biometric authentication across platforms and devices with the privacy and security guarantees of local authentication technology that marry you as a user to one particular device and fragment the user experience as it is dependent on the end user device. The customer
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fabian.
Thank you.
I think we're always missing the last slide today. I'm just waiting and waiting when we see a little bit more about the team, etc. But now I'm sure that our jury members will ask their questions. Please, the floor is open.
I'm happy to go first. The problem with most authentication that I've seen is that you really need to have critical mass for people to start using it. So I'm really intrigued to know what's your go-to-market? I mean, how do you plan to get people to use this, get businesses and enterprises to use this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, it is divided across those two product lines with workforce authentication and consumer authentication. So we are a B2B company, and we seamlessly enhance businesses' current identity and access management infrastructures like Microsoft Active Directories or cloud providers like Okta and ForgeRock with our universal biometric authentication capability, either as a first factor, so for the employee to go passwordless, or as an additional universal multi-factor that either augments existing methods for multi-factor authentication or replaces things like YubiKeys or RSA tokens. And on the consumer side, we offer a keyless mobile SDK, so the technical capability for a bank, for example, to integrate this advanced authentication capability in their consumer-facing apps to allow their users to authenticate in a PSD2 compliant way by just looking in any of their end-user devices.
Okay, and just
thank you.
Have you got anybody to use it right now? As you have like any pilots or?
Yes, no, we're live on the market. Okay. It's not a pilot. It's with Lewis University, one of the most renowned universities in Italy, where we collaborate with our partner Cisco in a joint go-to-market to allow their students to perform virtual exams from home and authenticate themselves and logging into WebEx as the tool that is used for that. And you'll soon see us work with banks across Europe, both with neobanks on the digital side, but also in the traditional side.
Okay, thanks.
More questions, please.
One of the challenges in identification, I think, as Farid was saying, is in the consumer space is going from offline to online. So when you've got competitors such as ID Now, Onfido, Jumio, and others, how do you fit into that ecosystem? Because they own the banking front end right now. Where do you step in?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you look at the value chain of, say, identity, starting from identity proving that you touched upon now with ensuring the person is the person you're checking against the government issued ID, this is something that we complement. So where we come in is the authentication bit that comes after the identification, and then the authorization piece that actually lets you do things where we complement the identity and access management infrastructure when we're talking about enterprises. So we're seeing KYC providers like Onfido, ID Now, etc., as natural partners to help us in the one-off onboarding journey. But essentially, once you linked a keyless account to a KYC identity within an enterprise, for example, every authentication step inherently becomes an identification step. And what you're then doing is you're not only authenticating with just a look, but essentially you're identifying your customer across every touch point without introducing that added friction once the initial enrollment is verified.
Thank you.
Can you briefly run me through kind of an integration process? You now mentioned that, yeah, you know, the bank, you know, and getting this one into a bank in particular. If it's not a neobank, I would assume is rather one of the bigger steps. So just give me a little bit of what's the timeline and how soon, you know, kind of how does it work, the integration?
Yeah, no, typically we have a pilot to production approach. Obviously, we have strong partners, especially on the banking or the enterprise side, when we're talking about workforce authentication solutions that help us facilitate large-scale deployments, where we basically integrate with these identity and access management providers. Often it's a Microsoft Azure solution as enterprises moving toward the cloud, or providers like Okta and ForgeRock, where we integrate through standard protocols like SAML2 or OpenID Connect, and essentially seamlessly tie into that infrastructure without replacing, but enhancing or extending their capabilities. And every time an employee is clicking on a login button or logs onto their workstation with a Windows logon, you either receive a push notification of any of your devices, or you look into the camera on your laptop and you're authenticated with 2 factors. By design, there's nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to type in, and you basically authenticate with just a look.
Thank you so much. We are a little bit over time again, so it's all fair with this edition. Everyone is a little bit of over time. So thank you to the 3 founders. I don't know what is happening to the WEBIT community today. Either the founders have brought their supporters and told them vote negative for the others and positive for me, or there's something in the air. But our second company pitching, XignSys, they are getting even worse results. They're at -14, 2 more minus out of 275 votes. You know, right? This is yes and this is no. It's not the opposite. So if you like someone, you click yes. Anyway, these are the numbers. I'm just sharing with you, bluntly honest. And we have the third, keyless, +17. +17. Wow, that's a big difference. Out of 283 votes, +17, -14, -12. Okay, so these are the results as per the audience. Now I would like to hear the jury members and what do you think about these 3 startups. I would like you to be very honest, very open, very critical. At the end of the day, this is not the end of the world. Oh yeah, there are 2,400 people watching now, but this is not, you know, something that will change the future of the companies unless you help them with good and very honest advice. So may I ask now Stefan to join me in the studio and to hear what your thoughts are and feedback on the 3 startups.
Hey.
Stefan?
Yes, I thought the all 3 companies were very interesting in different ways. I'm particularly attracted to keyless. I think that the notion of identity and transferable identity is a big topic. It's something I've been looking at deeply, and I like the way they're thinking about working behind some of the other tools that are out there. I also like the API economy is something I'm spending a lot of time on as well. It wasn't clear to me through the first presentation, you know, what the net benefit would be, or whether one of my companies was using it or wasn't using it, but it's definitely something I'd like to learn more about.
Thank you so much, Stefan. Would you say some negative parts of the presentation you would like to see improved for the next one? For any of the 3 participants?
I would just say, let's talk about the team at the end and talk about your business at the beginning.
Okay. Thank you so much. Clear. Thank you so much, Stephen. And I would like to invite now to the studio Nicolai.
Hi there.
Nicolai, what do you think about these 3 startups? Which one is your favorite? And what would you advise all of them?
First of all, I think it's one of the most ungrateful pitches is cybersecurity, because it's just super complex and it really depends on the individual components. So it's really hard to get to the roots. So I agree with, you know, the L7 defense, the API economy. I know them already from the past, but it's super complicated to get it in the 3 minutes. So therefore, I think it's a big challenge to pitch it in 3 minutes. I would have liked to see a little bit more on the uniqueness, because I think that's where it boils down. I think everybody knows and agrees it's a huge challenge currently in cyber security and cyber fraud, identity theft, and whatever you all is skyrocketing. So I would have liked to have a little bit more spent in terms of really where is your uniqueness, where is your edge into that one. In terms of where I was most convinced, I agree with Stephen, is I am with keyless. I think that has the most appealing, for my part now, use case. I can most clearly see it. The other 2, I would have liked to understand a little bit more the uniqueness. And I think the big challenge for all 3 of them is go to market. Just in that market, it's super competitive. And it has a lot to do with trust. You know, they all were going for the big players, the big banks, the big governments, that has to do a lot with trust. And as a startup by nature, the big companies don't trust the startup. So I think that's where a lot of the brain power. So therefore, I think also from XignSys, the hire of a very senior sales guy is a very good move, and I think that there needs to be put a lot of focus into. So also the entire point of the business and marketing approach, I think, fell a little bit short in this, but it's only 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Nicolai. Well, we had the very open, straightforward German-Austrian feedback to the 3 startups so far. Let's see what Italy will add to the equation. Giuseppe, please join me in the studio and let me know your thoughts.
Absolutely. First of all, I don't want to repeat, I agree with all the previous colleagues. So basically, I will try to give just, I would say, negative thoughts to some extent. So basically, I think when you pitch to an audience like us and all the people in 3 minutes, probably the 3 of them, they should have been more tailor-made, should just summarize the main aspects in 3 minutes. So try to be more, I would say, precise, straight to the point, especially in terms of matching the technology with the business and the market. So assuming on the other side, there are also people that are not really knowledgeable about cyber and so forth, so on. And second thing, always trying to compare your company to the competition. I mean, overall, in terms of positive, very good companies, not because there are some Italian team, I'm more impressed by Keyless.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's a very Italian way to say things, Giuseppe. And Farid, please join me in the studio and share with us your feedback and impression from these 3 startup pitches.
So firstly, thanks for the pitches. I kind of put them in 2 buckets. I scored them differently based on what I saw in the pitches, but essentially the API play, I really like that because it's actively solving a pain point. I normally put startups into 2 buckets where they're solving a pain point or a problem, and the others that are trying to change customer behavior. And as I mentioned before, like going to market on either authentication or identity is extremely difficult. I mean, we've had startups that have been trying for ages, and what I was really missing was some of the unique go-to-market strategies for these guys as well, because governments and universities and the sales cycle is so large. Whereas where you see normally a lot of movement is things like gaming, online gambling, just regular gaming studios losing hundreds and thousands per week on account takeovers and stuff like that. And I didn't see any of that. So I would say, I really would have liked to see some really interesting go-to-markets on this. But I mean, overall, I'm really kind of enamored by the keyless side of things, because I believe that cybersecurity of the future is going to be simple, invisible. Otherwise, people are not going to use it. Like fintech is today. Fintech is exactly how cybersecurity was 10 years ago. Complicated. You needed a degree to use it. But now it's in everybody's hands. So I think the reason I like keyless a little bit was because this whole concept of being completely invisible is great, but taking that to market and getting customer behavior to change, both me and the business and the enterprise, is super difficult. Especially if you speak to somebody today, unless they're doing an action on their phone, they don't feel that they're secure. You can have all this invisible stuff. They really need to see something active. So I think those are some of the challenges in cybersecurity, is just getting people to change their behavior. So I would really get them, the identity verification and the authentication has to look at some good go-to-market, sectors. And then the API one, I love the fact that it's scalable, and it's again invisible to when you start implementing it. So good job on finding those innovative aspects, really.
Thank you so much. In the meantime, while you were speaking, I was not looking at your eyes all the time, because I was also checking the results, and the winner is already decided. Now, I would like to be with the 3 startups, with the 3 founders. How are you? Did you have fun? Fabian?
Oh yeah, no, it's been great fun, and thanks for the feedback. That's very much appreciated.
Was it helpful for you?
No, yes, certainly very helpful indeed to hear from, I mean, people who've seen tons of companies in that space. That's very encouraging, and I guess you've touched upon the uniqueness of Keyless, and I'm very excited to continuing on our journey and hopefully make this a huge success. Thank you very much.
Marcus?
Yes, for sure. I have fun, and it's great to have such knowledge guys giving some tips, and we have to enhance our pitch deck for sure, that we cannot transmit our message at its moment. And that's right. I think this was a good point. So thank you very much for your feedback.
Now you can count on us guys that we will continue doing our best to support the innovation. What you're doing is fantastic. You are not selected by chance. There were thousands in total, like 4,500 in CyberTech. I'm not sure, but hundreds. And definitely you add value, and definitely we and our team and our jury members, pre-selection team members, they saw the potential. So I'm definite that we make no mistakes on scale. That so I believe in you, all three of you. How was it? How was it for you, Israel?
Yeah, so it was great. I didn't pitch for a long time. You know, the Corona kept us all home. Thanks for this opportunity. Really appreciate all the feedbacks, getting all those tips, going what to do for next steps. I really appreciate everyone's time. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the people who vote, and looking forward to continue the progress.
Where was the last time you were pitching in front of 2,000 plus people?
Wow, I think in the Web Summit long time ago.
All right. I didn't expect you were doing an advertisement for someone else. I said, no, never, right? No, but you came up with that. I have to refine my question for the next one. All right. I know the winner. Before I say it, I would like to especially thank to the jury members, to Stefan, to Nicolai, of course, to Giuseppe and to Farid for your time commitments of this session. I know how busy you are. I know how big is your deal flow and coming bigger during this time. So really appreciate your time and efforts. And with these three gentlemen now next to me, I need to say who's the winner. So who do you think is the winner? Israel, who's the winner? I really don't know.
I think it's Keyless.
Why this? How can you say someone else is the winner? I mean, for God's sake.
Fair enough.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, and the winner is Keyless, Fabian.
Thank you very much. That's appreciated.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Job well done. You won the hearts of the jury, obviously, in terms of, I mean, hearts. It's more like the pocket. And we already have some great case studies of winners of our weekly Founders Day Games Open Days, Open Investor Demo Days. And we see how we already have follow-ups. One is under due diligence of one of the investors. Others are in discussions. So I'm hopeful that even from these jury members, you will be approached and connected. Our team is always available for the three of you. As I always say, if you've been selected once, it means that you can count on our whole team, on our beautiful global community. Our newsletters reach out currently over 900,000 people around the world. So you're in good hands, and definitely you've done a great job. So there is one winner, but all of you won to pitch in front of such a great audience and to have our support. So Fabian, you are going to have a wild card for WEBIT to pitch and to participate and to exhibit for free, tickets, etc. You won both the jury award and the audience award. I can't give you more. You have the love of the people and the award by WEBIT. So congratulations.
This goes out to the team, not myself. So thank you very much.
Sounds great. Thank you all. And it's time to move ahead. We have some very exciting few days ahead of us. We have tomorrow the session chaired by Natalia Oropeza, who is chairing our CyberTech vertical. She will be having some great members of the global CyberTech community inside the studio, talking to her and sharing insight, very deep dive knowledge of what is really happening globally. You can hear obviously amazing things from the cyber security officer of Siemens, one of the backbones of the European and global industry, technology industry. And the day after, one of my other favorite formats where we have global media coming from very different places, Forbes, USA Today, and others. They will be joining us to reflect on the cybertech challenges, on the threats and opportunities. And it will be a fantastic leading media forum. With this, I wish you well. I'm very grateful to all of you, wonderful WEBIT community from all around the world. You're still at the number of 1,800 with us. Today, we had registrations for over 130 countries joining us. Thank you so much. Thank you, and see you tomorrow.
This program is powered by thevirtual.show, making your offline events virtual.